It's a cold one. It's still blowing. Oh, you can see how tight the snow is. So it's still blowing 15 to 20. It's supposed to let up. So anytime you pull the anchor and you're by yourself, you want to make sure which way the boat's going to go. It's going to take a minute to get everything buttoned up here. So I pull the anchor and I make sure I look. The wind's going to blow me. It's going to blow me that way into that crab pot. So you just got to be aware of that. Get your knife ready to cut them. So we're going to pull the anchor up, and the wind's going with us today. So hopefully it's not directly behind us. If it was, usually you have a pole that sticks out here and it holds the sail out so you can go directly downwind, but I don't have that pole, so I can't go actually directly downwind, but I can get close to it. So most likely the wind will be directly downwind. So I'll have to motor, because that's usually how it goes. But we'll find out what happens. So I'm going to pull the anchor up. So there's a lot of pressure on the windlass right now, which it doesn't like. So we're just gonna bump it up. We get the snubber off. See how the snubber connects to the chain. Then the load of the boat is on the rope instead of on the chain, which would shock load the windlass, which isn't good to do. So that's what the snubber does. And it makes a big rat's nest all the time too. So this is my morning Wawa coffee routine here. Is pulling this guy up. Dealing with this crap. See the problem when it's rough and hard like this. So it's just got a little latch on it. So then just drop it in. That there is the snubber. The snubber stops the chain from rubbing on that fitting all night, which keeps me up all night. Today it's like 50 degrees out here right now. So we're going to finish. You can see the zip ties I put on there every 10 foot. So we're at about, I got 7 foot of water under the boat. So the boat's got about a 5.5 foot draft. So it's underwater about 5.5 foot. So I have my depth sounder takes that into account. So I got 6 foot of water underneath the keel. So I just bump it. The boat will kind of pull forward, and then I just let the momentum go, and then I'll bring up the slack, and then give it another little bump. See, when you hear that, that's all the pressure on the windlass, which I'm sure it can handle it, but. got some fishing hooks. It's always good to bring up treasures. That shit gets in there and smells real good. You get that into the bilge. Oh, and then you get this. So then this piles up because I didn't do that right. So then what we do is we run down here and we gotta pull the chain in. So this is why it's nice to have all your shit together, because then it smells like Joe's Crab Shack down there. That's Joe's Crab Shack. They got a hermit crab farm down there. Let's bring the rest in. We're going down there today under that bridge. Try to get it to turn that way. Bring it in tight. Call this the keep. Then we drop it back down. Takes the load off. I usually take this off, but I get lazy, so I'm just gonna stick it in here. And we are off. See the wizard. Where's the crab pot? I like to cut it just for the sake of cutting it. Going into the wind and with the wind. So yesterday I was sailing into the wind. So if the wind was blowing 30 and I'm doing another 5 knots into the wind, it's really 35 knots onto the boat. Now the wind's blowing 20 and I'm doing 6. So you subtract the 6 from the 20. So it's really only blowing 14 for me, which is nothing. Plus you're going with the wind, so it's not whipping all in your face. And usually when you're sailing and you have lots of room to move, you'll just sail off the wind. You'll go, you know, you don't want to, I mean, you can beat right in the wind, but it sucks. So now we're going to get out into this tiny little channel and we're going to see if the wind is directly behind me, because right now it's directly behind me. So it's funny because there's only a little bit. If you take 360 degrees on the compass and you deduct what you can't sail into, it seems the wind is always, so 60 degrees of that is a no-go. And it seems like the wind always is in them 60 degrees for some reason. So it looks like that's the case too, but we got the current with us. We're doing 6 knots. So we'll just cruise, I guess. Maybe we'll play sail games later. It's cold out here. We're on the course we need to go, and that is the wind. It's directly behind us. Directly, we can't sail from there to there. And of course, the wind is directly behind us, always, at all times. Uh-oh. I don't know if you heard it, but the motor just died down on me. Usually it's a fuel problem. I got 2 fuel filters. So I can bypass one of them and go to the other one. So hopefully that filter is just clogged. So I bypass some of these valves. Now I'm running off the other fuel filter. So hopefully that will get me under the bridge. The last place I got water from and fuel, the water smells like shit. And the fuel looks redder than hell. So we got a little situation going, because anytime anything happens, it'll always happen at the worst moment, which would be right under the bridge. Oh yeah. So we'll see what happens. The bridge without the motor conking out. I don't know what happened. Just a little hiccup there, but it's pretty nerve-wracking because the channel I'm in is like probably 10 feet wide. So if I go 5 foot that way or 5 foot that way, I'll start scraping the bottom. And then you got the bridge, but the good thing is the current and the wind were going this way, so if the motor did conk out, it was pushing me through. So whenever I have a situation like that, I just try to plan ahead. Like I went up front and I took out the anchor shackle, so if I had to drop the anchor, I'd be able to do that immediately. And I got on a tack where if I had to throw the sail out, it might have been able to cut sideways under the bridge if the motor did conk out, but it didn't. So we're gonna cross our fingers and hope. I don't know what the hell that was, but it was just a little hiccup. So hopefully soon we'll have some good videos other than just me talking about stupid shit like that. Later. I don't know, the motor kept doing that. And oh shit. I figure I got this gauge on here, but of course that don't work. It's not proper, so you know when it's in the red it's already too late. So it doesn't, the calibration on it doesn't fit. So we're going to go ahead and change the filters, which I doubt is the problem, but we're going to do that. We're going to check our throttle cable, maybe that's slipping, and we're going to put some, I got 15 gallons of diesel in jerry cans. I'm going to put that in the tank, maybe with the chopper sucking in air. We'll see if that does the trick. Stand by. Roger that. Cap. Oh, over. The motor, really all they need to run is air and fuel and clean fuel. So anytime there's a problem, I usually just change the filters. So here's the filters, and here's the old ones. These are racors. They're 10 micron. They're pretty easy to change until you drop everything in the bilge. So you just take this off. Now I just cleaned out my tank, so I highly doubt this is the problem. But we're gonna do it anyway. So I don't think there's supposed to be that air in there like that, so that may be the problem. Pretty sure it's supposed to be filled with fuel up to the brim. So we pull the old filter out. I think she's sucking air for sure. Pull the old filter out. Bada boom. That's a 10 micron filter. Put the new one in. Now I fill it with seafoam to the top. Pour it half all over everything, you know. The motor itself can run on just on seafoam. So instead of sticking around purging it, I usually just fill it with seafoam. So that's one filter. Over here, make sure you drop the gauge down into the bilge, and then it really won't work. So they make these gauges, and it's supposed to tell you if your filters are clogged, but they're not calibrated, so it's just kind of like a guess. So make sure that falls. That'll fall. It's good to use the eating utensils and your cutting board for oil changes and whatnot, because it's good for your system to eat some of that shit every once in a while. So I'm going to say the filters, that looks dirty. I don't know how it could be dirty, being as I just cleaned the tank, so I don't know if I got some shitty diesel from that last shithole in St. Augustine because they gave me shitty water. So maybe they gave me shitty diesel too. Oh. It's always fun on a rocking boat. So that one's should be primed up, ready to go. And it's really that easy. So then I'm going to go out, fill up the tanks. Tank's up, I dropped the key overboard. So I don't have a key to open up my tank here. So hopefully we'll do this all day. Oh, there you go. Look at that. It's easy, it's something right. So here's my diesel up here, it's 15 gallons. So we'll put these in. We'll keep this in there. And hopefully that should be the problem, that should be the issue. Guys, the boat tour, I forgot to show you the shed. We got a shed on board right here. Come out back here to the shed. That's where we keep the lawnmower and the fuel and, you know, fuel for the lawnmower and stuff. So this is the shed. That's where you know, nice little storage area in the shed here. I'd like to get a folding bike out here in the shed instead of a bunch of hoses. But dealing with diesel, Simple Green seems to get it all out. The smell of it, you know. It's probably good for the cutting board. Good to eat. I'm a big fan of Simple Green. Usually cuts through diesel stink, but it gets everywhere. You just have to eat it. Eventually you'll eat it all off of the cutting boards and whatnot. So this contraption here I built is an onboard fuel polisher. So I could run my fuel through this filter, through that filter, into the motor. So in theory this one will clog first, and then I'll still have that one. I'll just switch it over to that one and run it, or I could change that one. Or I could bypass this filter and run it from this filter up back into the tank, and it just constantly circulates the tank. So I'm going to run the fuel filter now. It's just a little fuel pump I put in there with some fittings. And you can hear it now. It's sucking fuel through here, up there, and it's going back into the tank. Then this one here is just sucking from the tank right into the motor. So you can see there's air in there. So I'll probably purge it for a while and run off of this one. Hopefully that'll purge all the air out. Fuel and running the motor on two separate loops. And if it stalls out again, hopefully I can just switch them. She's sucking air and she's covered in soap. So normally when you change the filters, you have to bleed the lines. Diesels don't like any air. Sometimes I get away with it without doing it, and other times I don't. So that there is supposed to be a 10mm bolt, but it's stripped because, like everything, it's fucked up. So we're going to try to do it with a 9. So the 9's too big. I mean, the 9's too small. So we're fucked. All because we were too lazy to order that bolt. So I'm gonna strip it again. There we go. So when you bleed it, don't know if you can see that, but so we got a hand pump. It's call it a lift pump. So you just pump that until you get a steady stream out. I don't feel it pumping it. I don't feel anything coming out. So we'll do this for a couple hours, I guess. Then we got to go back to the old soap on a rope trick. They call that soap on a rope. It's gonna be like a hot tub in there soon. So we'll run it at high RPM, and we'll see if we got all the air out of the line. Seems to be good. So we're gonna try this again. Try it again. If you don't succeed, try again or something like that. What a fucking pain in the dick. Fucking pain in the ass. So it's a 32-foot boat, and I have my tool bags, but for some reason I have to go through every single compartment 3 times to find them. So I have that's a little game I like to play, is count how many times we can't find the wrench. Like the most basic tools you should have easy access to, but I don't. So let's just make sure we close the doors on the shed. Shed doors are closed. An example of how my day's going so far. So I have to be extra careful today because everything I've touched has turned to shit. So here's the next fun thing to do. Oh, how's that even happen? You know, like how would that, if you tried to do that, you'd never get that to happen. If your life depended on that getting tangled and saving you, it would never happen. Somehow I can pull it off. I'll pull it off. All right, let's try that. Maybe we'll bring it up here. We can't do that. So what's going to happen is I'm going to drop this. Turned out to be a real nice day. Here we are, Port Sebastian, Florida. Looks like somebody over here got a little campfire on the island. Maybe I'll stop up on one of these islands. Probably going to hang here for a little bit and go to shore. My buddy boat, he's up there, so I'm gonna go see what he's up to, and that's it. Hopefully we get up there before any more fun and games. But this looks like a real nice place, and hopefully it's only going to get nicer the more south we go. So the water's 75 degrees. I don't see any coconuts yet.